Hello guys, welcome to Samber Style. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to optimize some closet storage. I am originally from South Africa and I came to America, or my first time visiting in America was 2018. And one of the first things I noticed was the way they build closets. I did not understand why they do it like that. I presume it's a cost-effective way of doing it by just adding a wire shelf. And I personally think that looks terrible, and there is a lot more space you can actually use. So I'm going to show you guys a very simple and basic design that pretty much any DIYer can build, and that is going to be to add shelving. I'm going to build them right in the middle, and I'm also going to show you guys all the cuts, all the sizes of all the wood. You can pre-cut it at a Lowe's or Home Depot if you do not have all the tools. So I'm going to show you guys the exact measurements and sizes I'm going to be using, and you guys can just copy it if that works for your application. So let's get right into building some shelves. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is using my stud finder to see where the stud is here in the middle. The reason for that is there is going to be some cross bracing, so that way I know I can get into a stud to secure this whole shelf system. Okay, and then once I found my stud, I'm going to just draw a very light pencil line, and that way I know where the stud is, so I don't have to look for it again. Okay, so we got the pencil line drawn out for our stud, and like any good house, we're going to start with the foundation. The foundation that I'm going to be using for the shelving is going to be out of 2x4. So I'm going to show you guys how to put a couple of 2x4s together, and then we're going to build it up from there. Okay guys, so I just want to show you the actual line that I just draw where the stud is right in the middle of this wall, which is awesome because that is where I'm going to work off. So my base, I decided I used an old t-shirt, and I just kind of used it as reference in regarding to space. So I'm going to go with a 12x12 shelf. So as you guys can see, there's a little gap on each side of the t-shirt, and then also to the front there is also some space. When you want to use this for a regular room, when it's not a nursery, there is still a lot of space in these shelves. And also, if you don't make it too wide, you will still have a lot of hanging space on the side of your closet. So I'm just going to go with a 12x12. That's going to be the inside measurements, and then just going to work our way up from there. So let me go ahead and get this base built, and let's start building it up. To make a 12x12 base, I used 2 pieces of 12-inch and then 2 pieces of 9-inch 2x4s, and that's going to give me a 12x12 base. So I'm going to lay it out and show you guys how to put this together. So we're going to put the long pieces on the outside and the little short ones 9 inches on the inside, and that's going to give us 12 right there, 12 inches right there. So when I build anything like this with 2x4s, I like to pre-drill it. That way it prevents it from breaking out when you tighten it with the screw. There's our base. Okay guys, the 12x12 is obviously way too small, and that is not gonna work. So I actually decided to use my brain into figuring out how big we're gonna make this base. And what I came up with is, I won't say genius, but I don't know why I thought about it earlier. Because on the side over here, we're gonna be hanging hangers. The obvious thing is to make the shelving as wide as the hangers is going to be. So we're gonna make it 15 inches wide. So in the back, as you guys can see, the outside lines, we're going to do 15 inches wide, and then the hanger plus some. So we're going to make it 18 inches. So do consider when you're building these shelves, what kind of hangers you're going to be using. It's just a cleaner look if they are tucked behind or in line with the shelves. So I'm going to rebuild this box to fit and accommodate the hangers. And I think now we got the right size for the base of these shelves. And as you guys can also see, the hanger is tucked away so it would not stick out here once everything is said and done. So we're ready to secure this into that stud and then start building the rest of the shelves. Okay, so I got my base lined up to the center, and I'm going to use 2 lag bolts and secure it into that stud and that bottom footer. And that's not going anywhere. So now the next step after this, I'm going to get this bottom shelf cut out, nail it in, and then we're going to move on to the sides. And now we're going to install our bottom shelf. Make sure it's all lined up. We did have a little overhang here, that way we can put in a kick plate or a cover plate and we don't see that 2x4, so that's why I made it an inch longer. So whatever your box is, just make it an inch longer. So we have 18 in the front, and then so my shelf is going to be 19. Now we're ready to build our first side piece of the shelf. So this is going to be the outline, so we're going to make that side piece cut out exactly the same shape, and it's going to cover everything right here and go all the way up. Okay, so if you're wondering how tall we're going to make it, I'm going to go with a standard size from what I measured in other closets in the house, and that's going to be the top end where the shelf is going to be. The very top is going to be 6 foot. So from the bottom to the top is 6 foot. So I'm going to make the side walls of these shelves 6 foot, and then we can start putting it all together. So I'm going to go ahead, cut these two sides, and then also do the notches in the front. Okay, so for the sides of those shelves, I am using a 3/4 premium wood because it's already got a nice finish to it. I am going to be painting on it, but afterwards I do not have to sand it as much. You can use a lower quality wood that's not smooth like this and then just sand it. That's just a little bit more work, but if you're on a tight budget, you can also do that. And then for the shelves, I am also going to use 3/4 inch plywood. I do have a bunch of offcuts from previous project, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. So this is going to be my sides. Okay, I got my piece of plywood marked out and I'm ready to make a couple of cuts. So let's see what it looks like when I'm done. And there it is, ready for install. Before I install the walls for the shelving, I personally like to draw a level line, basically from the inside of the shelf all the way up, as a guide to make sure that the walls that I'm going to put up are level all the way through up to my 6 foot mark, because that's going to be the top. There are different ways of building these kind of shelves. A lot of people would pre-build them and then put them in, but I am working alone, and Amber is pregnant, so she can't really carry anything. And then with this amount of wood, it can be on the heavy and awkward size. So it's just easier for me to build it right in here, piece by piece. These lines that I draw out, obviously that's going to be my center line. And then on the outside, you will see there's lines. That's going to be the wall side of the shelves. And then I also drew some horizontal lines. So basically these are going to be my support pieces for the shelf. So I'm going to put them insert there like that, all the way to the end, and then once we put the walls up, we can also nail it in, so it's something to hold on to. And we're also going to put our shelves on top of here. Instead of screwing it in, I am just going to use the big nail gun and then just nail it in. And then also, if you guys wondered how I got this shelf measurements, is I actually used the top measurement to the top of the shelf, and I divided that by the amount of shelves that I want to have. So in my case, it was 68 inches divided by 5 shelves, and that gave me just over 13.6 inches. And that way we have nice and even shelving, and it looks like we know what we're doing, and it's not all awkward sizes. And that's a little tip right there. Now we can go ahead and install our sides, because we got something to nail it to. So let's get those sides and nail them in. That looks pretty good. That is one side in. Tip when you nail this in is to figure out where you have to nail it, because once this board is, you can't really see these planks. So I just draw a very light pencil line out here. So once the board covers it, I know that is where this support beam is, so I can just nail it right in there. So little pencil line, you know it's right underneath that. So just a quick little tip. Okay, so we got pretty much the base of the closet done. I just need to insert some shelves, get our top piece on, and then prepare for some paint. So before I go ahead and put the shelves in, I'm gonna go ahead and caulk all the seams. That way it's just a little bit more accessible before all the shelves are in. So I'm gonna caulk all the inside seams, and then we can go ahead and put our shelves in. That's going to be where the shelf is sitting on, and I drew a level line all the way through. I drew little pilot holes, that way I know from the back side where the screws is going to go right into the shelves. and you don't have to figure out where to drill your screws. And now we're ready to start installing these shelves. Okay, first shelf in. And now I'm also gonna caulk it while it's easy and accessible. Caulk. Last piece. And now we got some shelves. Okay, so we got our shelves in. The next step is going to be to do that top shelf. In order for us to install the top shelf, we need to put some supports on the back and on the sides. I'm going to be using these 1x2s, so I'm quickly going to nail them into the walls, and then we can put on our top shelf and get ready for paint. And now we can install our top shelf. It might seem a little bit tricky to get this in there, but I figured it out after a couple of minutes of struggle, but this is the way I'm gonna get this in there. So if you are doing this, this is probably the easiest way to get the solid plank in there. That's gonna be our top. So basically just wanna slide it in and then just work it around. Like that, and we're in. Home sweet home. I can just nail it down. The shelves are in, and now I just need to get it ready for paint. Once it's painted, I need to put in the poles for the hangers, so let's keep on going. Okay guys, so I filled up the holes using an epoxy wood filler. The reason why I used the epoxy wood filler, the holes with the screws are a little bit bigger, so that helps for it. And then also it cures a lot faster than a regular wood filler would. So now it's a couple of minutes later and I can just go ahead, sand it, and we should be ready for some paint. Now that the shelves are sanded down, we are ready for paint. I am going to be using this sprayer because it leaves a very smooth finish. However, I'm not sure if I'll be able to get in everywhere because of the size of it. I do have my roller and paintbrush ready in case I do not get all the corners with this, but I'm gonna do the outside with it, and then whatever I can get it with this, I'm just gonna go ahead with the roller and the brush. So let's get going. Okay, so I got 2 coats of fresh paint on these shelves and it looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm super happy. It looks minimalistic and clean, and that's exactly what we're going for. Then next thing is going to be to put in the poles for the hangers. Super easy, and I'm going to show you guys how to get it done. I'm going to measure out, make sure it's nice in the center, and then secure it, and we should be done. So let's go. Okay, so I'm going to start by using these pole mounts. That's going to be where the pole mounts to, and kind of see where I want that. That's clearance from the top to the underneath here of the shelf will give me enough clearance for the hanger to go in. So this is going to be a great spot, and then whatever this measurement is, I'm just going to copy it and then put it on the shelf side. So I'm going to center this up and then secure it right there. Half of 19 is 9.5. And just by looking through that hole, I can see that little cross, and that is going to be exactly where I'm going to secure it to. So now that I got that measurement, I'm going to copy that exactly and do it on the shelf side. That's 2 3/4. Nine and a half right there. So that's where I'm going to secure the second one. And then we should be Gucci. Okay, so these hangers did come with some self-tapping screws for the wood. So I'm just gonna drill a little pilot hole using this very thin drill bit. If you are nervous that you're gonna drill through this wood, you can put it on next to it and put a piece of tape around this drill bit to make sure you do not go through it. I feel confident. I'm just gonna make a little pilot hole, and that way we know our screw will be right in the center where it needs to be. Perfect. And now for the other side, which is going to be a little bit different because we're going straight into sheetrock and there's no studs behind it. So I'm going to show you guys how to secure that one. This is going to be straight into sheetrock, so we do not have a stud there. You can just drill a screw into it, but it's not going to hold much. So once you get weight on that thing, it might just pull it right out. So I'm going to use one of these plugs with a screw, and that comes with this drill bit. So you just drill a hole, put this in, and then we can screw it in. So let's do it. So we got our screw into our holder, and now I can just secure it. And that should hold it. I think it's good for 35 pounds, and I doubt we're gonna have that much on it. Now we just gotta cut our pole. When you measure it, you wanna measure the inside, because that's where the pole is going to be. You do not want to measure the outside because obviously it's going to be short. So inside to inside, inside to inside. 22 3/4. So let's get it. Okay, so let's see. I did cut it a little bit long, rather a little bit long than short, because once it's too short, you cannot make it any longer. So. And I want to have it tight, but that is just, ooh, it's gonna work. Perfect. We got no movement. We did it. Glad I cut a little bit long. So now I just gotta do that 3 more times. Okay guys, so I just finished installing these poles for the hangers, and we are completely done with this closet optimization project. So you might wonder, how much did we actually optimize this closet? We still got 63 inches of a shelf on top. We added 5 shelves that we did not have before. Before we had 63 inches of hanging space, and now we added it to 94 inches in total of hanging space. So that's quite a lot of extra space that we did not have before. With that being said, that's gonna bring us to the end of this video. If you guys find this video helpful, please share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Have an awesome day. Until next time, goodbye. Before I install the walls for the shelving. Now that the shelves. Okay, so I got 2 coats of paint. Okay, so I got two coats of fresh paint on these shelves, and they turn out amazing. Wow. Okay, so I got 2 coats of paint. Okay, so I got 2 coats of paint on these fresh. The next thing is going to be to put in the poles for the hangers.